clicker, really?
The flicker.
I need the clicker to go through movies while we try to do this review. And today we're going to review Jesus Bro, which is brought to us by the cinema snob Brad Jones. He was the screenwriter. And we're going to... The review is going to be a little split because we've got a normie that's going to review it and somebody that's
A normie.
Semi-knowledgeable about the cast and crew. As a little bit of a disclaimer, I did donate to the crowdfunding for Jesus Bro, and I have interviewed Brad Jones before. You can check out my interview with him on Dread Central. And that's about it. Those two things did not really influence how I reviewed this or my takeaway from this at all. Because for the number of years that I worked for Dread Central, the amount of independent and low-budget films that were sent to me to review were numerous. And I'm still friends with quite a few of those filmmakers, but that did not mean that my review of their films was going to be any more generous or less harsh or more harsh. So I guess,
didn't know you contributed to the film.
I did. I was in the car with you when I was doing it. I said, "Hey, I just donated $5 to Jesus Bro." And you're like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "I don't know, we'll find out."
Okay, so I didn't realize at the time it was a film. When you just say, you just randomly say these things, and I don't know what you donated to.
I donated $35
Jesus Bro,
to...
okay, because Jesus Bro just says it's a movie. Jesus Bro, like, hey, okay. Didn't know what it was, but now I do. Okay.
You done?
Yeah.
You done making fun of me for donating to the arts?
I didn't. No, it's a good thing. I didn't realize it.
Yeah, you just find some more reality television shows for us to watch while we review this thing. So, Jesus Bro is a takeoff of the Pure Flix films that have been cropping up over the past few years. If you don't know what a Pure Flix film is, it's basically an evangelical film, which usually, they all follow the same format, more or less. There's usually a person that either is coming to find Jesus or has found Jesus, and they need to overcome some obstacle. And that obstacle is either people wanting to take religion out of schools, or there's an evil, nasty atheist who needs his comeuppance, your favorite word of today. Or no, actually, those are the two things that you usually find in the Pure Flix film. And if you haven't seen a Pure Flix film, I would suggest going over to the Bible Reloaded channel, and they usually do a pretty good job of reviewing those films and taking apart the nonsense of Pure Flix. The logic goes out the window when there's a Pure Flix. It doesn't matter what the setting is. They manage to just go off on this horrible tangent that makes them seem like they are always the victim in every situation. The Christian is always the victim, always the person that needs to be righteous, even if they are doing something that's absolutely horrible, like trying to take science out of schools and replace it with Jeebus. Which actually, that's when you went to that religious school. Was it college? Mm-hmm. Is that what it was? Mm-hmm. Did they do any of that where they tried to make you think that science was bad and religion had all the answers?
Well, of course science was bad.
But they specifically said that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was Bryan College. It was the home of William Jennings Bryan, which was the founder of creationism.
Oh, well, fuck.
How did you know?
No, I never.
Why didn't I say I pointed out the Scopes poster?
I didn't get that. There is a Scopes poster in the background.
Where do you
Jesus,
think I
bro.
knew where the Scopes trial? That was the home of the Scopes trial.
You mentioned that, and I didn't. You didn't expand. I was like, "You'll be glad to know I know what that poster means."
You didn't ask.
Well, it's because we were watching the video and I was trying to make notes during it. All right, now let's get on with the actual review because we wasted enough time. We've wasted enough time that I'm sure the thumbs down will be more than it is on our Anne review.
Oh, God.
People either hated our opinion on Anne or they just hated the review because we just kind of just went, whatever.
Oh, well, that's kind of what Netflix did to that show, so...
It wasn't really Netflix, it was CBC, but anyway, we're getting off topic again.
Okay, anyway, back to Jesus Bro.
So, you're kind of the normie in this situation, where you know very little about the group behind the making of this film. Besides having to sit through some of the Channel Awesome stuff with me on occasion, you don't really.
That's
and we haven't actually watched any of their previous films. Nope. I don't think I haven't, and you haven't. So we've got no context for any of the inside jokes or anything like that. And Jesus Bro starts off with a YouTube atheist who is a real dick, like super dick, very very self-righteous in his cause to make sure that everyone knows that atheism is the way to go, and if you believe in any sort of deity, you're stupid.
Yeah.
What Christians think all atheism is about. And he decides that he needs to get in better touch with Jesus because his girlfriend leaves him because he's 4 out of the 5 things, and the 5 things, the 5th thing that he misses out on is not being a Christian. And so he drinks.
Wow, you just skipped all of that really fast.
Yeah, because I'm just trying to summarize it for people because I don't want to be too much of a spoiler where people like.
Okay, so we're not doing that, but he's very good. Who plays that part? The person that plays the atheist is very good at playing the assumed part of being the typical asshole atheist. I mean, he does that very well.
David Gobble.
David Gobble.
You love that name, too. He's really good at being a dick.
He's very good at being a dick in this part. He does this very well. Because there were many times that I'm just like, I want to just like slap him across the face in the movie.
Not because of his viewpoint, just because
of the way he was acting. I mean, he did it very well. It wasn't the viewpoint or anything. It had nothing to do with just he was being a dick. So he did that part very, very well. But what's the other guy's name? Fard
Muhammad?
I am horrible with names. He is great in this movie. I think he is the best part of Jesus Bro. He is great.
He got the best lines.
His one-liners are awesome. He is, I think, by far. I'm sorry, guys. He's the best part of the movie.
Well, he delivers them like so straightforward and just. It could be a horrible one-liner, but the way he delivers it just made it hilarious. It's great. I mean, you pick on me for my cheesy jokes, and it's awesome. That's the thing when you have a low-budget movie, you have to make some concessions when you review it, because you know you're not always going to get. You're not going to get actors that is their profession. I've seen a lot of low budget films that I've had to review that have had horrible actors, just people that just could not deliver lines of dialogue to save their lives. And then I've seen 0 budget movies that have great actors. Like if we were to watch any of my Kevin Strange movies, like Colonel Kill Motherfuckers, 0 budget, but everyone in it just gave it their all. And they had great timing for delivering the stupidest and most absurd Tromaville-like bullshit. It was great. So when we reviewed Jesus Bro, we do have to make some exceptions, and we can't say, well, the acting isn't that great, so it's a bad movie. No, we have to say, well, these aren't professional actors. These aren't people that with SAG cards or anything. So when we get a performance, it's just kind of like, we just have to just roll with it. We can't really knock it for that.
I don't think it was a bad movie. I mean, the character of Santa Christ, what was it?
Santa Christ, yes.
I mean, that's a specific character that has been brought up in
Nostalgia Critic video?
Nostalgia Critic. Which I've seen before when we've watched his reviews on different films and stuff. So, I mean, being a normie, I recognized it because you have always watched Nostalgia Critic, but random people aren't going to know who that character is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's those different aspects to this movie, but I've got to say, on a random note, Brad, you got to stick to the dark frame glasses because they look much better on you. On a side note.
Oh, and
yeah,
Brad does have a cameo in this. It's relatively short, but yeah, he does look a lot different depending on the glasses that he wears.
Yes, he looks much better with dark frame glasses. But I mean, overall, even though it's low budget, it wasn't a bad movie. I think the only part I had a hard time with was the bartender because you couldn't understand what he was saying.
Okay.
But other than that, I think it's just because he doesn't make any eye contact or look at the camera, so you can't really.
Well, he was
it's like, hi, who are you? What's happening here?
Well, I think I mentioned that right when we were watching it, because sometimes his eye would catch the camera lens, which happens when you're on film. I think, like when we were filming Fix This Yard, Bud's going around with that rig, and it's hard not to accidentally look at Bud.
Yeah.
Because you got the short, stout guy with this huge camera just wobbling in front of you. So it is hard. I think Ron got on us about that once or twice.
Hey, I am not an actress.
Though you have been in 2 shows.
Yeah, well, that's why I stick to reality TV.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, let's move on with the story. So he, at that bar, he drinks something that's 100 proof, a special micro brew that knocks him out, may have killed him, and he goes to this weird kind of limbo, which is actually just a stage where he meets Santa Christ. And if you have never watched any of the Nostalgia Critic videos, then you're not really going to have any context for Santa Christ, which is basically Nostalgia Critic's brother with a Santa beard and a Jesus robe. And to be honest, I never really found that character all that interesting. In the very short snippets, it's funny. Like when he was first introduced, God, years ago it feels like now, on one of those episodes, it was kind of funny. But now it's just like, okay. If you come into it if you had never seen it before, and you're introduced to this character in this way, I mean, would it have just taken you out of the movie? Would you have just been like, is this really funny? What is this? What's going? Should I just turn it off now, or how do you think that would have hit you?
Santa Christ doesn't really do anything for me comically. I'm just like, okay, whatever.
It's just kind of shoulder shrug.
Yeah, I mean, it just, even in the Nostalgia Critic thing, it's one of those things where you're entwining two concepts. It doesn't do anything for me.
Doesn't tickle that funny bone at all. No.
Nope.
So he gets sent back to Earth, and he becomes the super Christian. The
one thing that did do it for me with the funny thing is the towel. Remember when that was probably the best visual gag, is when Santa Christ kind of towels himself off from sweat, and then he turns it around, it's the Shroud of Turin. That was actually a really good joke. That was.
And
that was.
Even our atheist character, his girlfriend, who he meets when he's going through his little change to become more Christian, and he runs into his girlfriend again, and she mentions that she's moved on. She somehow had 19 kids in 24 hours, and she's married to the best salesman at his law firm, but she doesn't know what he sells. Mm-hmm. It was a good line. It's just, it's just the way it was delivered. I was kind of like, when I went back and went through it, it's like, that's funny, but it wasn't funny when I heard it.
It was funny. Well, when she wanted a Christian, and now she's married and has, 19 kids.
Like the Duggars?
Yes.
Is that who it was?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh. So you're trying to hit all those hallmarks of all those
the whole
name
Christian,
Christians.
the parody of all that's popular right now.
But I don't know what to classify this movie as. It's not exactly a parody in the way that it doesn't like take a Pure Flix film and interject humorous elements into it like the way Airplane does, or the way Naked Gun is a takeoff of cop dramas or something like that. It's not exactly that. It kind of stands on its own, but if you'd never seen Pure Flix movies before, I don't think you would really get the joke.
I think it kind of, you have to be I think you get it if you're a follower of these YouTube channels, honestly. Mm-hmm. Because me being a normie, if you want to call it that, I understood it more so, even though there were a few times when I was like, what story are they telling? And I asked you a couple questions, and I recognized the characters just from seeing different clips of their videos. So, and taking into context all the crazy crap going on and being talked about right now. But I also know, because I have sat and watched the Duggars, know that they were referring to that as soon as they said the 19 kids.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm
laughing because I'm admitting.
Yeah, I know. You're addicted to reality television. I got it. I noticed this. I know when I look at my feed.
I'm just laughing because you're like sitting there as your wife is admitting this on your channel.
Or when I'm seeing like the receipts roll through from iTunes, it's just reality show after reality show. I'm like, man.
It's not on iTunes. I do not buy them on iTunes. I watch them on Hulu.
That's why our Hulu feed is nothing but reality shows. But as a movie as a whole, would you say it was entertaining?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, definitely. What's the one actor's name?
Which actor? Are you talking about Fard Muhammad?
Yes. He was by far the best. I'm sorry, guys, but he was by far the best actor. And when he comes in, he's like, it's a good thing I got my medical training just in time, I mean, his one-liners, he's just by far, he's got the good lines, and I wish he'd had more of a role. There was some things that were alluded to his like dark past, and I wish they had brought up that more. Because the only time we get to see him like closer to the end is when there's like the cuts to like the rapture had happened, and he's firing a gun at zombies that are off screen, and I think it was the last 20 minutes of the movie that just kind of where I lost my interest. And you did too, because you got up and went to the kitchen and disappeared, and I was like, are we not watching this anymore? And you're like, I'll be right there. You had like, there was like that sound of disdain in your voice about that you had to come back here and sit down and watch the rest of the movie. Because it kind of got, like, when he drank the beer or whatever again, the lager.
The second time,
and then it's, he sees the devil instead of Santa Christ again. It's just like, oh God, we're doing this again? Like...
It was a little too much rehashing of...
I've known this song and dance, so we're gonna do the prodigal son story, like... It wasn't a bad movie, but it was just like, okay, can we shorten this a little bit and get to where we need to be?
It did. That's where it started to drag. Because when you're getting into the whole, the devil and Santa Christ had a bet, and the rapture happened because Santa Christ was incompetent and God had to come and fix everything. It was taking away from Rick's story, the atheist story, and just going off and focusing more on like the Channel Awesome crew or the Channel Awesome characters at that point.
Yeah,
where we're no longer telling like this narrative driven story.
It just lost the ability to keep the audience
engaged.
Yeah.
That happens a lot in small budget movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I could find a stack now that, well, if they're somewhere hidden back where our daughter can't find them. But yeah, if I were to go through like the stack of those indie movies that I got sent years ago, you could probably find a good chunk of them that suffer that same problem. And I don't know if it's a rush to finish a project problem, or they just run out of steam with their ideas and can't come up with a cohesive ending.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. I mean, we've seen plenty of movies, like big budget movies, where that's happened.
But overall, I mean, it wasn't bad for what they did.
Three quarters of the movie was good. It was entertaining, but you definitely, when you hit that 3/4 mark, both you and I we just totally tuned out. Or you were gone for like 5 minutes, and I sat there and I thought, do we want to finish this today? Because I don't know if I can. And I was like, no, we got to get through this, because otherwise, when I go to write my notes, I'm gonna hit that point. I'm gonna be like, oh crap, I don't even remember what happened, and I can't do a decent review without knowing the rest of the movie.
So overall,
I wish Tamara Chambers had a bigger role than just that little walk-on she did as a waitress.
mm-hmm.
And she used to be my least favorite part of Nostalgia Critic, but over like the past couple years, she's actually become one of my more favorite staples of Channel Awesome.
I wish.
Line.
Okay, is this riff tracks now?
Line.
I don't know, I guess it just, it was, like I said, it wasn't bad overall. I wish that some other characters had some more depth into it. Their backstories and so forth, more so than what they did, but I guess maybe there'll be a sequel. Who knows?
Maybe. I wish Alison Priegler had a bigger role as the girlfriend, to have a little bit more of an emotional impact. That he's trying to get her back, but she shares such little time with him
mm-hmm.
that you don't buy that whole relationship. There's not enough there. There's not enough backstory, and like, besides being together 10 years, they will have been together 7 years in 2 months.
And why were they hunting in their backyard? People don't go hunting in their backyard.
That's the thing you're gonna nitpick about, is they went hunting.
I'm just saying, well, I mean, when you grow up in the country with hunters, you don't hunt in your you hunt in your backyard, but you don't literally hunt in your backyard.
You don't step out your back porch and start opening fire.
You have to hunt so far. I'm just saying, you don't hunt in the.
Come to our reviews for the hillbilly perspective on hunting.
Shut up! Just because I'm from the country, you don't have to pick on me for that part, man.
We're going. The thumbs down are going to be big on this one. You thought the thumbs down on our Anne of Green Gables review was bad. I think that's mainly those thumbs down didn't start coming in until I tagged Amy Beth McNulty on Twitter with the review.
Oh, well,
and then I think all the cast and crew started going to the video and were just thumbs downing it en masse.
Well, it was a real review. I'm sorry. You want real reviews, or you want, oh, this is so great, we're telling it total lies, blah blah blah.
What do you think about Doug Walker's dual roles as the guy promoting Christian films and the guy promoting random YouTube atheism?
He was good. His roles were good.
He always seems to nail those very kind of like off the wall kind of characters where it relies on his extreme facial expressions.
Yeah, no, he did a good job. I mean,
and Doug Jones is the brother. His small cameo when they're playing basketball, and it's the same shot of the basket going in the hoop over and over and over again.
I think it was. I mean, it was not a bad movie. Hey, I sat through the whole thing minus a couple minutes.
That should be our rating system. Did Michelle sit through the whole thing? So it would basically be a 4 out of 5, because it wasn't until the end where you wandered off. You're like, the kitchen is calling. My matronly duties are calling me away from the television set.
It wasn't. It was.
There is something I must bake.
Wait a minute now. You're the one that's always like, there's patriarch. We gotta have patriarch.
Follow the patriarch and get in the kitchen, wench. Bake thou a pie.
Mm-hmm. See how it is?
So 4 out of 5. And it's only losing...
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It's losing 1 star because towards the end, the kitchen was a better option than sitting and watching the movie.
No, it wasn't bad. Well, plus we were eating dinner while we were watching it, so I got up to take plates in, and I didn't realize it was not a bad movie. Everybody did a decent job, honestly. I mean, it wasn't bad. So
everyone did a decent job.
I would definitely watch this again over Anne on Netflix.
Netflix Anne of Green Gables adaptation.
Yes.
All right.
So that is saying a lot.
So Channel Awesome Crew, you did a better job than the CBC did with their new version of Anne.
And that is saying a lot.
So you get 4 Christs out of 5.
Woo!